again just to run you through a brief review of Laughing Jackal's Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Now you may not be aware of what Warlock of Firetop Mountain was, so we're just going to take a quick jump back in time and go over some information. So we'll start off by going back to 1981. Now, if at this time you were a young and impressionable gamer and you wanted to play something with Dungeons, Dragons and all that lot, your best option was Dungeons & Dragons. Of course, with that you needed a group of people. The closest thing around at that time would actually have been Adventure, which was released in 1977 on the Atari 2600. Bearing in mind this is 1981, that's 3 years before the NES was released, and so of course 3 years before people were getting used to hearing this sound. So instead of that, let's look at what was happening around that time. Two people named Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone decided to get together and write a first gamer novel. That novel was called The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Now, although it was worked on in that time, it wasn't actually released until 1982, so let's just jump forward to there and see what happens next. Okay, so 1982 came around and Warlock of Firetop Mountain was released. Now, it was an interesting concept because although the choose your own adventure style of book already existed, Warlock of Firetop Mountain did things a little bit differently. From the book itself, it states the Warlock of Firetop Mountain is a different kind of book. As well as the book itself, you'll need 2 dice, a pencil, an eraser, and then armed with these tools, you can become the hero in a perilous quest to find the Warlock's hidden treasure. Now, I could carry on reviewing the book, but that's a bit pointless. You want to see how the game plays, so let's start a new character. Now, here it's automatically rolled my skill, stamina, and luck, and then it gives you an option of choosing a potion that will replenish those, or re-rolling if you're not happy with the overall stats. So we go into a new game. Now, as you can see, it is essentially just the book itself. Now, this isn't going to be the game for you if you like hard-hitting action, constant fights, loads of button presses, that sort of thing. This game is more for the thinker out there. You're going to be reading a hell of a lot of text and essentially just flicking through options to get to the relevant sections. Now, what the game does is it takes away the need for the pens, the paper, the eraser that was mentioned earlier on, in that it does it all for you. Now I'm just speeding through some of this here so that you can see where we first do a test of skill, for example where we try and charge down a door. So let's just try that now. Yep, roll 2 dice, it has to be less or the same as your skill score, so the game will roll those for me. Right, okay, 4 plus 2 is 6, there we go. And that's less than my skill score of 7, which means the door gets knocked down. I can move on to the next paragraph. And that's essentially how the game plays. Now, there's certain aspects that are different, such as combat, and let's just see if we can take a look at that as well. Now, with combat, you can carry on with the dice roll system as you've already seen, or you can do it this way, which is the little mini game. Now, you pick your opponent, and then essentially you're looking for those little blue faces. Get one of those, it registers as a hit, you can then test your luck. Now if you fail like I've just done, you'll only take off 1 point of damage. If you actually pass that luck test, you'll do double damage to your opponent. The red faces there will count as a hit against yourself, and there's also, as you may have seen, a cross sword. Now that actually counts as a miss, so neither opponent gets hurt. Now that's how the combat runs. Once you've beaten that, you can then move on. Now needless to say, every time you get hit, you'll lose stamina points. Lose enough of those, you die, game over, you have to start again. And the other thing we have here is the log section. Now this shows off some of the artwork of the game. It's very faithful to the original books, with some added artwork specifically made by the guys over at Laughing Jackal. We also have here a complete diary. This shows you every single page, so once you've actually visited it, you can go back through and pick up the story from where you left off. It does mean that you do have that option to kind of cheat like you could with the books originally, but obviously you don't need to do that. Play through it properly. So that's Warlock of Firetop Mountain by Laughing Jackal. It's a really good game, I really enjoyed playing through it, and I'd like to thank Laughing Jackal for bringing back some childhood memories. So all that's left is the score. I'll give that a 4 out of 5. Thanks very much, here's hoping there's some more coming along in future. See you next time.